Siddhartha, let me start with you. I'm not putting you on the spot here, but you had an estimate that was at the very high end of the range. Just help us understand the thinking, why you think inflationary pressures are still there and whether or not you think that they will persist in the months ahead.
There was a couple of factors which are still in play. That food prices started softening only during the month of September, but in the number, if you see, there had been a very significant downside surprise on the food price side, and even on the energy price side, there was some uptick during the month of September, which has however been captured. Going ahead, however, it's a very interesting story. The way we were thinking, there is very clear possibility that there might be some softening bias there, given that if you see, energy prices in India have started moving slightly lower. So overall, we have a forecast for the financial year at around 3.5% as an average.
And Abhishek, let me bring you into the conversation. I was looking at your forecast. You almost got this one right in the button, but I guess more importantly, tell us why, and I was looking through your notes here, tell us why you think inflation will be stuck between 3 and 3.5%.
David, the 3.2% inflation print, which I had forecasted, was broadly in line with the, sort of below the consensus, and it was in line with my expectations. The reason why I'm seeing inflation to be structurally lower, there are like quite a few reasons. Number one is food inflation is expected to stay low. We've had the first advanced estimates of the Kharif crop, and it's likely that we get another year of a bumper harvest this year. So that's going to sustain a downward pressure on prices. In addition to this, even as Sanjeev, Siddharth mentioned, that domestic petrol prices in India have started coming down. The government has cut excise duties on petrol and diesel. Additionally, even core inflation is quite low in India. It's around 3.6% in September. The only reason core inflation seems to be going up is because housing inflation is going up, but that is a statistical increase in India. And once you remove the statistical impact of housing rent allowance for central government employees, you find that core inflation is actually quite low at 3.6%.
Right. A question for both of you now. What does this mean for the RBI? We have one meeting left. I mean, certainly there is scope for a rate cut, but the question is whether or not there is enough data to support the trend. Siddhartha, let me start with you.
Yeah, my sense is that they will possibly still be somewhat conservative. It's true that there had been a downside surprise, at least in the current print. But at the same time, I'll actually be very cautious about one particular factor, which is on the weather side, monsoon, and the trajectory in terms of agricultural production in general. The headline monsoon number had been pretty decent at around 95%, which is close to normal. But at the same time, the timeliness and geographical distribution of rainfall had been pretty sporadic and erratic in this particular season. So my sense is that it might actually have some negative for overall agricultural production. I'm not in a position to take a very bullish assumption just yet. And going ahead, there will be a very significant adverse base also in play. So our sense is that it will be in the mid to high 4% handle for a significant part of the next 6 months still. Having said that, if I adjust for the base effect, it will be in a low 4% zone. But at the same time, given the RBI's emphasis continuously on anchoring inflation just around 4%, it doesn't leave them with a lot of room to go for any aggressive rate cut. So the MPC debate still remains very well anchored to a hold versus cut debate. But at the same time, a cut is nowhere near a done deal.